Ahoy ahoy to all you smooth sailors out there, and welcome aboard the DeckTales podcast. I'm your host and captain, Sammy Catlin, and this is the show where we set sail into the captivating world of ship life, delving into the best and worst experiences of the incredible crew members who called the open sea their workplace. Whether we're navigating stunning destinations to weathering unexpected storms, our guests all have stories to tell that will make you laugh, gasp, and maybe even shed a few tears. So, if you're a seasoned cruiser eagerly awaiting your next embarkation, or just curious as to what goes on at sea, DeckTales is your boarding pass to a world of nautical narratives. My guest today is Mrs. Jemma Carroll, a former entertainment host who is now a part-time student and works for the council doing social work for youth justice. Jemma was my best friend during our contract together, and I really loved the chance to reminisce and catch up with her. So let's anchor up and have a little listen. Jemma, how are you?
Hello, son.
Hello, Mum.
Nice to see your wee face again.
Oh, you too. When was it I saw you last? It was at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
At the Edinburgh Festival, and my wee one was not even a year, was he? So we must be looking at about 7 years ago.
At least, I think about 7 or 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
which is just not good enough for any child to not be in touch with their mother for that long, is it?
Well, since when I came to see you and I realised that you'd basically moved on and had another child, I was just, I was somewhat inconsolable, Jemma. So I tried to move on.
Fair.
But
Tried to move on with your life.
I've got a few more greys of inherited come apparent on my face since the last time
Well,
we
that's
met.
just making me feel old.
Well, have you got any? Are you dyeing your hair? I shouldn't ask these questions.
Absolutely not. Of course
No?
not.
Well, it's
No, I shave my face. I don't give it time to turn grey.
Well, so if let's do the math, because if I was obviously on the ship with you when I was in my early 20s and you were calling me son,
Yeah,
I don't get it because the age gap isn't that massive.
it's not that bad. I think you were 19. I think you were 19 when I was there. And I think that all came about because I think you were the baby of the crew at that point. I think you were the youngest of us. So I
Always.
think that's probably because I'd have been 23, maybe.
Oh, okay.
It's about 23.
A real young mum.
Yeah, I was a young mum.
If
Yeah,
ever there was
yeah.
one. But it only came about, I don't know why, but because at that time you had a little thing going on with my, at the time, cabin mate.
I did, yes, I did.
Sorry to bring that up.
No, not at all. Do you know what? Everybody had a thing with somebody on the ship, such as ship's life.
Yeah, they did. It'd be rude not to, right? After being away for so long.
Absolutely. You know, you're lonely. All your friends and family are back home. You make a family out of who's there, don't you? So I had my partner, had my son, it was all good.
Yeah. It's a hodgepodge family on board for the duration of the contract. Everyone's got to try and get through it in whatever way they can.
Absolutely. Cheesy as it sounds, it does become a bit of a family feel, and I think all the females kind of mothered you a little bit, didn't they? I think I was just the only one that took it as far as to actually adopt you.
You signed the paperwork and everything. Yeah.
That's it.
But it was 2006?
Yes, it was 2006. Is that right? That's right, yeah. 2006.
It was because you met my parents and my sister because they came on board.
I did.
They remember you very fondly, Jemma.
Oh, that's nice.
Because they've not done many cruises, so obviously the one that they went on, they remember the team, the ones that helped make their holiday special.
Yeah. You always remembered your family coming. I was always really excited if family were coming. Everybody kind of felt excited for whoever's family was coming as well because it was such a big thing.
It was, yeah. That person would then get the chance to actually enjoy life a bit more, have a slightly reduced work schedule and get the chance to go a little bit further away from the port and enjoy the sights and sounds of wherever it was. Because if you weren't given that extra time off, you'd be going only so far and then you'd be
Yeah.
rushing back for golf putting or some nonsense.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Or library duty. That was always a favourite. Bloody hell.
Library
Talk about a
duty.
pointless job, library duty. Do you remember that?
I'd I'd kind of blocked it from my memory. It was either a morning or an afternoon slot every day, right?
Yeah,
We had to
yeah.
take it in shifts every day. Somebody had to man the library in the
Every
morning,
day someone was supposed to go to the library and no
and it
bugger ever came.
no, but it wasn't just our because we were entertainment staff, so we obviously did all the
Hmm.
animation on board, the game shows, the quizzes, the karaoke's, the events that required a microphone basically to be hosted.
Yeah,
But with library duty, wasn't that covered by pretty much everyone in our entire department except for musicians? I think I want to say
yeah.
didn't the kids hosts take a turn, or is
I
that my
feel like they did. Yeah,
yeah?
yeah,
Everyone had to pitch in
yeah. I
with.
mean, no, if you're going on holiday and you're a reader, you take the books you want. Nobody goes to the, and if you do go to the library on a cruise ship, if you are so inclined, you're not going for a chat, are you, with some annoying entertainment host that's hanging about the library for some unknown reason,
Some
not
do.
knowing that we've actually wrote on to be there.
Yeah, but then if they caught you and they were like, "Oh, I've got you now," then they wouldn't leave for the
That's true.
they wouldn't leave you for the hour because they're like, "Well, where are you gonna go? Huh? You gotta stay and talk
Yeah,
to
that's
me."
true. That's
Uh,
true. That's true. Oh,
that
here, remind me, what was our band called? Because that was driving me crazy. I still can't remember what it was called. Please remember.
garden party.
Garden Party? No.
No,
No, it was
who
one.
was in the band?
I think they were Romanian. There was a girl, Esther or something,
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
singer.
Esther was the girl I lost my virginity to.
Yes! You remember Esther?
So
Yes!
I remember garden party.
It was Garden Party.
Yeah, because
I thought it was one word.
it's such a shit name for a band.
Sure is.
But it was is it a story I need to go into? This is your interview, not
Yeah.
mine. But yeah, garden party, Gemma, for your records is the name of the band. They weren't a shit band. They
Interesting.
just had a bit of a lackluster
No,
stage name.
yeah, they were a good band. I
It
just,
was
yeah,
always, I felt it was a bit difficult to kind of
introducing.
hype them up when you kind of say you just finished the quiz and then you were like
Hmm.
you kind of fit doing the filler. So you'd set up this, you cleared the stage or the pencils or whatever from the
Yeah.
quiz, and then you'd go back on stage and then you'd try to drum up some hype and you'd be like, and please welcome to the stage, garden party.
Exactly.
Everyone
And then they
just
wouldn't really say anything either. They do good singing, but they didn't really chat. So
yeah, because I don't think their English was that great. So their
yeah,
bantering bits were between a bit
yeah, yeah,
something to be desired. But
yeah.
because I was on that ship with you, well, I was on that ship from the beginning of like December the previous year, and I did 10 months in total.
Yes.
It was my
Yeah.
first contract. So when my parents came on board, I'd been on board for about 8 months at that point. So I'd had one team come and go, and then you guys came and joined me. They just couldn't get rid of me that shit on that ship.
Yeah, you were the only one to stay out of every. Oh, they all went, didn't they? Because we didn't really get any training. We got offered. I remember going for the interview slash audition, and they didn't really know what I was auditioning for. They were like, "Are you wanting to be a kids host or an entertainment host?" And I was like, "Oh, I just thought I'd fancy working on a cruise for a while." So at that point, I don't think I even knew what I was going to be doing. And then when myself and Mark, do you remember Mark was the guy that came on with me?
The
So
ginger,
myself and Mark
the
joined
ginger warrior.
the Ginger Warrior.
That
Yeah,
was it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
he
Yeah,
had.
so we joined, and a couple of days later, the other entertainment host left, apart from you. But we
Mm.
hadn't had any training on any of the, like, we had to host line dancing and everything. We didn't know any of the dances.
Just had to learn it as
Yeah,
you
it
went.
was, yeah. And on my first or second, it was my second day, I got mugged in Barcelona.
What?
Remember that?
I don't remember
Yeah,
that. No. Oh, I mean,
yeah.
it's probably something that you would remember a lot more vividly than I would.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, because I was out with Mark. Me and Mark. It was like, in fact, I think it was our first time off the boat since we'd been on the boat. So we went and we got some lunch, and I got my bag stolen. And the person that stole it, I think they had a knife and just cut the strap and then disappeared in the crowd because this was up the Ramblas. So it's, huge crowd, really busy. So I stupidly tried to run after him, but lost him almost instantly. And then realized I'd also lost Mark. So then I was trying to find my way back to the cruise. and then I didn't really know how to get back on, so I ended up trying to get back on as a passenger. So I was like going through the passenger queues and stuff, and then obviously the staff didn't recognise me, and yeah, it was a whole big thing. Eventually managed to get in and find some staff, and be like, I've lost my bag, which had
Oh,
my camera, everything. And I ended up using one of those crappy instant cameras that you then had to send the actual camera away to get the photos back because my camera had been stolen. So I spent the cruise with all these daft cameras that I then
the
had to
dis
keep posting.
the
And
disposables.
yeah, the disposable cameras. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had a few of them because I don't think I had a camera either when I joined. And
Oh, really?
no, I don't think it's an interesting time to go back to in our mind's eye because it's been
Hmm.
only, well, in the grand scheme of things, not that long ago in terms of history, but in terms of
Yeah,
technology, we didn't have internet or good internet on board. We didn't have smartphones with Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, nothing. So
yeah.
it
No,
was
you
pretty,
couldn't keep in touch in the same way
no.
at all. And like you say, it doesn't feel like that long ago. And
Mm.
it isn't that long ago, but it is, like you say, in technology's terms, it's hard to imagine that. But yeah, I remember it was actually a friend on the cruise, Sarah, who set me up with a Facebook account one day when we went to Palma. We'd all go and use the internet and stuff there, didn't we? We'd go to like internet cafes. And I remember Sarah setting me up with a Facebook and saying, this is good for keeping in touch. And I was like, but I don't like computers. I'll never use it, And it's like, well, I've had it since then.
It's how we've stayed in touch to a certain
It
extent.
is.
It's how
It's how
I've.
I've stayed in touch with a lot of people. Yeah, yeah.
So who else have you stayed in touch with?
Well, I mean, just in my life, it's how I've stayed in touch with a lot of people. Like, I've got friends from when I did Camp America when I was 19 that, you wouldn't be in touch with them if it wasn't for technology. So,
Mm.
yeah,
But so
yeah, but
Camp,
no,
obviously Camp
it's,
America was before, and then a few years
yeah,
later you started on the ships. But how many
yeah.
ships did you do grand total?
I
Was
just
it
did one.
you just
I
did the
just did
desk?
one. I just did one summer. Yeah, one
Yeah.
summer. Tick it off
Well,
the list.
well, it's good that you just did the one and done because you've moved on in your mind's eye for a long, long
Hmm.
time now. But because it's so distant in your memory, it's going to be more fun to go back and explore the past a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, this is true.
Obviously, only one contract under your belt. I'm not expecting, loads of crazy stories because you're with me for that contract. So it might
Well, exactly.
it might be
The
things that
shared memories.
there might be things that you remember that I'd completely forgotten about, and likewise you'd forgotten about garden party. So
Yeah.
in my mind, I thought you'd done a few more ships. I don't know why. I thought you'd gone on to do a few more, but yeah, that
No.
rules out half my questions. Like, how long did you work in the industry? What departments did you work in? Favorite and least favorite ship? We can get rid of that one.
Yep. I'd never even been on a cruise ship before I went on the Thompsons one.
Do you remember your training before you boarded?
I didn't really have any. That's what I
No,
mean. You
but
guys all had that training, but oh, do you remember like the training to go on the ship that you did in the swimming pool and stuff?
that's it. Yeah.
Mad. It was
Did,
brilliant. I loved that. It was something really different. I
yeah.
just like to do all different things, and yeah, that was great. They shoved you in a swimming pool in the pitch black that was really deep and put flashy lights on, and you had to get your way back out under the thing, the big inflatable thing. Is that what you guys did?
The life raft. You have to upturn a life raft.
Oh,
So you had to scale the
yeah,
little ladder
yeah.
that's underneath it. Where did you
Yes, that was it.
where did you do that?
I think it was oh, I don't know. I remember going down for the interview with somewhere like Keeley or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
I don't remember where the life training thing was.
Survival at sea skills,
Oh, is that what it was?
something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I did mine in Hull at a place.
Yes, I think it was Hull actually. Yeah, it was fun. It
I
was
don't know.
fun. Like you say, it's nice. You reminded me of stuff I'd forgotten about. That was me and Mark. Me and Mark went and did that together.
But it's one
The
of
two
those
of us.
things where even though we got in a check against our name to say we'd completed some training for sort of like, an emergency situation at sea, do you feel like it prepared you? Should an incident have actually occurred, do you think you would have been ready?
Not a chance.
Would you have been as useless as the guests?
Yep, yep, definitely. Do you remember we used to have to do the checks when we had new passengers? It was like the next day, didn't we? We had to
Yeah,
do
yeah.
like the roll call and we'd all stand there with everybody and we all hated that part of the job, didn't we?
Well, it
It
was
was so dull.
so on the Destiny we had to do it normally maritime law, you have to do one as soon as the guests are all on board. But because everyone was arriving in dribs and drabs throughout the day, and the last ones
Hmm.
didn't get there till kind of sometimes quite late, we would do
Yeah,
it first thing in the morning, which was
the
always our
next
sea day.
morning.
We would have our sea day.
Yes,
Everyone would have to wake up.
yes,
They couldn't really start their holiday, or if they did, when they arrived, obviously they'd been drinking straight away. The next
yeah,
morning, when we're at sea, all the guests have to kind of go, oh,
yeah,
and they get
yeah.
up there.
And we do
So,
the roll call.
was you a muster station leader?
I think we all were, weren't we? We all
Oh,
had to
well,
stand there with our clipboards and
mm. I don't think
yeah.
I think I was for a tiny bit, but because I was making it to be quite a light-hearted thing, the staff captain pulled me aside and demoted
You
me.
kept getting in trouble for it, yes. I
He
remember
demoted me.
that.
He demoted me to number sign paddle holder.
God, I should have made more fun of it. I could have got out of it as well.
It
Yeah.
wasn't the worst, but we never had any like emergency scares, did we?
No, we
Maybe
had a couple, I think two out of the whole summer, if they were called lockdowns, were they called lockdowns? You know, days where it's so rocky that they get the passengers to stay in their rooms.
very different
Twice.
kind of lockdown.
Yes. Yes, it is. Oh God, stop making me laugh. It's making my teeth hurt.
Oh, I'm sorry. And for those listening or watching, you've got newfound wisdom tooth pains.
Got wisdom to coming through, and I don't know why, because I don't need any more wisdom. If
Oh,
they would just go away. It's making me less wise because it's distracting me. 'Cause I was very lucky that I didn't get seasick. I think it's one of those things, if you get it, you're screwed, and there's really not a lot you can do about it. Because I remember Nick in our team had it really badly. Do you remember that? He used
the
to get
dancer.
so unwell with the seasickness. Yeah, dancer Nick.
Hmm.
He got so unwell with it. I felt so sorry for him. But no, I was always okay, but yeah, I remember those days, the smell of sick all around the cabins as well, because so many people were thrown out. Do you remember the crews used to just stink? And there was one day it was bad, which I don't advocate for because we were young and stupid. But do you remember we had like a deck party, but that it was really, really choppy,
How could I
and we would
forget
go.
that? That was more intense than any roller coaster I've been on.
Yeah, it was because we were jumping up like that, weren't we? And
Hmm.
getting the waves, well, not the waves, but the crashing to catch us, and it would literally throw us backwards. So we were
Hmm.
like
But
flying through the air. It's stupid.
when the ship lurched upwards, we were trying to
Uh-huh.
run up towards the top,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it was a storm,
Just
and it was like
throw us.
you know, the TV show Gladiators. It's just come back.
Yeah. Who
You
doesn't
know,
love gladiators, eh?
the final bit of the obstacle course
The
is
Travelator.
the travelator. It was like that. The slippery deck. You just got to try and get to it before it comes back down
Yes.
again.
How
And
did none of us die? Nobody died.
no, but I remember the captain. I think the captain came and told us off.
Well, we
And
got a stern talking to, didn't we? We
get
did.
inside, you idiots! This is like a serious storm. What are you doing? Everyone's gone. You're the last ones out here.
All the passengers were locked in their rooms for safety. Here's us flapping away
And
on
we're
the deck.
jumping around on a slippery deck in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
And then when I got inside,
Yeah.
I brushed my
Good
face and it
times.
was just salt, salt, salt.
Yes. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was,
So dangerous, but so fun.
yeah. That was your only scary situation.
I think so.
Well, you've
Yes, I
already
think
had
it was.
you
I
had
mean, it's quite scary. Me and my then Romanian boyfriend coming back to our room sometimes, finding you having some time on your own. That was sometimes a bit scary.
what do you
Maybe shouldn't
mean?
go into too much detail there. Used to
What?
sometimes smell.
Oh, jeez.
That was pretty scary sometimes, not knowing what we were going to be faced with. You were a 19-year-old, what can I say?
It's a good thing I'm interviewing people I know to start off with this podcast because I won't get these stories again from
Too
other
far,
people. When I
too
open the
far.
doors for people that don't know me, they'll come forward with their stories and they won't be anywhere nearly as incriminating. So the first few are going to be
Yeah,
like,
you
oh,
might have
okay,
to.
this is the kind of person Sam was.
You
It
have to do
was
some heavy editing on my
no,
one.
well, I don't want to
I'll
edit
try
it.
not keep the stories to make the stories too colourful.
No, the color, the more color, the better, I think, because if I can't laugh at the past, then what can you laugh at, really?
Yes, this is true. Oh,
We
we had good times.
we
Good
have to move,
times.
and because I remember Sebi, your boyfriend at the time, he was technician and
Hmm.
DJ. So we had certain nights we'd have evenings where he'd be working in the lounge all night, so I would be able to have the room and my space to myself for a change. Because otherwise, if you're
Yeah.
with you're trying to justify my my evening habits like it was a regular thing. No, it wasn't. I, I can't apologize enough for whatever
Oh,
you experienced and to
you're all right, Sam.
categorize it under scariest moments. I mean, come on, that's
It was quite scary.
yeah. You had to do the little tap first. Are you in there, Sammy?
Did. We did, we did.
Yeah. Are
But
you in?
hey, you're
Are you
right.
in?
Do you
Are
know
you in?
what?
Are
It's
you enjoying?
intense. You're sharing a cabin with somebody. It's not like, sharing a flat with someone can be intense enough. Imagine, sharing cabins. We
Well,
did
yeah.
not have a lot of personal space.
What was it like? I remember the night. I'm gonna probably get a screen grab or a picture of this because I've got it somewhere when we mummified you.
Oh yes, yes, I do remember that. I'm sure I've still got pictures of you mummified as well. Got in with toilet paper, didn't we? I do remember. I can't remember why we were doing it. I'm sure there was a reason.
Every 5 minutes, it was a fancy dress party of some kind.
This is
So,
true.
so I was
It's
like, oh
true.
God,
Yeah.
what can I cobble together to, you know, be appropriately dressed for this themed party of some kind?
Yeah. It was
My,
probably something like that.
but there was so many different fancy dress themes. It was like, well, there's only one place to go after hours, really. That's the officers' bar or the crew bar,
Hmm.
or after hours, 2 a.m. when they closed. Then it was cabin parties.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
you basically have that kind of, like the clown car routine where you try and squeeze as many people into a cabin as possible.
Yeah.
And you'd open the
I
door to a
know.
cabin party, and then like a cloud of smoke would just hit you in the face because everyone's chuffing in the bathroom, or they got their sock or a plastic bag around the fire alarm.
Yeah. Oh, it was intense. I know I've got some really good photos actually of cabin parties because it doesn't even look real. There's so many people filling every space that it doesn't even look real. And oh yeah, got some really good pictures of us all, 20 people in one tiny little cube that's designed for two people.
You couldn't really talk to anyone across the room. You'd only really be able to talk to those people just around you
Hmm.
because it was just
Yeah, yeah,
too
yeah.
intense. It was too intense.
Just noise.
You couldn't do anything apart from just go, yep, drink. How you
Yeah.
doing? Yeah, have a conversation. We're doing this. We're doing this. Okay, we're just gonna get drunk here. Like, I think, oh, fine. Yeah, crack on.
The drink and someone else in there. There's no way I could handle it now. This is why we do these things when we're young, because you've got the stamina for it. Because there's almost an unwritten rule that you have to have a drink with the passengers after you finish work as well. Do you know when you'd finish the evening quiz or you'd finish whatever it was, you're expected to kind of mingle with the passengers. And they're all inclusive. So, it's part of it that they're kind of like, oh, can I get you a drink? Can I get you a drink? And, so yeah, you end up just drinking every night, don't you? And
Mm.
you
I
just
had,
think,
I
God, how
had,
did we survive?
I had one sick day. Do you remember having any?
I didn't have any sick days, but I do remember I had a day off. It's not really a day off because you could never have a full day off. But like you say, when the families came on board, sometimes you got a reduced rota or whatever. So I remember I had my birthday while I was there, and I didn't have to do anything until the 8 o'clock quiz that night. So yeah, so I had a single day off. Yeah, yeah. We all went, and it was in Barcelona again. I wasn't too scared to go back off, thankfully. And we all went. Do you remember? I'm pretty sure you were there. We all went to Pizza Express. Pretty sure.
I had a lot of pizza on those contracts.
Yeah. Oh, because we were in Italy a lot. So
Yeah, and we were in
gotta eat
Barcelona. We
pizza.
were in Barcelona every week.
Yeah, yeah. That was one of the ones that was on every itinerary, wasn't it?
Well, so what was our itinerary? Do you remember?
No. I remember
Yeah,
bits of it.
yeah.
I remember, yeah, so Barcelona was every week, and we had Casablanca was on one of them. Remember
Mm.
that? Because I remember everyone was always really excited to go there,
And
and that was the
Tangier.
stop that Tangier was fantastic.
Uh, Agadir as well, occasionally.
Uh-huh. Really nice.
Unfortunately, back then when you had your disposable cameras,
Hmm.
it didn't have the technology to geotag your location as to where in the world you were.
No,
You just had to write on the back where it was, and
exactly. I wish I'd wrote it all down. Corsica, I remember living Corsica. That was somewhere else we used to go quite a
A-
lot.
Ajaccio.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
that I think when we had that night at sea with the storm, that was just outside of Corsica because that was quite rough. That was quite a rough
Yeah,
part of the world. But
yeah. We got to know the bits that were rougher than others after a while, didn't we?
do you remember any particular unruly passengers or
Um,
stupid questions? The standards,
I mean,
ridiculous requests.
weirdly, none's coming to mind. Do you know what I remember? What I remember is the passengers that sometimes you would get like really close to them in a really short space of time, which I think because you're together kind of 24/7 when someone's on a cruise. It's not like, at holiday reps where people are coming and going and doing their own thing. So I feel like you kind of feel like you get to know people really quickly in a short space of time. So there's a couple of families, one in particular, that I ended up keeping in touch with. Again on Facebook, actually, we were still in touch, and because they were from Glasgow, so we met a couple of times. We ended up, it was a two sons that were kind of, one was maybe a couple of years older, one was a couple of years younger, and their mum and dad, and we met up and went to football games and stuff. So that was really nice. So I think I remember the nice passengers. I mean, there was
You,
always stupid questions, but yeah,
any that come to
but no,
mind?
it's more that they would fall for that. I feel like, was it you or somebody used to always tell them that there was a glass bottom, and you would always get some that would go to see the glass bottom. I remember that.
They would try to go down on deck one as far as
Yeah,
as far as they could go, and then
yeah,
they
yeah.
would be looking around like, where's the glass
Where is
bottom?
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd come and ask you how to get to the glass bottom.
Do you remember our ACD's joke that he would play on the passengers every time we did I think it was the bingo on the last day of the cruise, the rollover bingo, when it was the lounge was packed full of
Oh, yeah.
people. And
I remember you used to always have to help me out with the bingo because I'm dyslexic and I was terrible. For some reason, numbers is the worst of me. I would always read the numbers back to front. And my God, if you're a bingo fan, you do not put up with somebody that's not good at reading the numbers. There's uproar.
well,
So
yeah,
whenever it was bingo, you always had to go with the numbers. And I would always be the runner.
yeah, I remember that actually, but I'd forgotten. Yeah, you'd call the
Yeah.
wrong number, people have dobbed it, and then you go, oh, sorry, not
Yeah.
13,
Oh, they
30,
went nuts.
31.
Ah, that's not what you said. You said 54, not 45. I'm sorry.
But do you remember specifically? Because the lounge was packed. The biggest money was at stake to win on the
Yeah.
last day of the cruise. So Gavin, our assistant cruise director, would always say, "Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen." Do you remember what he would say?
Oh, but he was always full of terrible jokes. Was this a
He,
good one?
I can't believe what I'm seeing outside. Look by the windows. Look, seals.
Yes, I do remember. Yes, I remember that now.
Well, can you retell it?
Well, that was it. You just told her that was basically the story, wasn't it? He would just wait until he was calling out the numbers, and then he would get everybody who'd say, "Look, seals out the window." Folk would actually go to look for the seals.
They'd run and they'd knock over small.
They would.
They'd knock over small children out of the way just to get to the windows, and then he'd say, "They're there, folks. Just look for them. They're around the edges of the windows. That's right, window seals."
Oh, I forgot that bit.
You forgot the punchline.
Forgot the punchline. I just thought it was funny that people are expected to see seals in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, land-based creatures out of sea. But to be honest with you, I think the first time that Gavin did that joke, I ran to the window. I mean, I was 19, and obviously
This is true.
we're all
This is
gullible.
true.
We're all so gullible at that age, you know. But like when it's not even. It's all like what do they call it? Monkey see, monkey do. You know, everyone's
Hmm.
running. You're like, oh, I'm going to run as well.
Oh, I better run, see what's
Oh,
happening.
I
You
don't want to
know?
miss out. I don't want to miss out on freakishly
Absolutely.
these freakishly daring seals that have swum all this way out from
Just fly into the middle of the ocean, exactly.
but I've got a little bit of material out of you, but do you want to
Yeah, there might be
continue?
any heavy editing, eh? Some of the stuff I've said about you.
No, I'm going to keep that because that's probably that's
You're
probably
fine.
this that's probably the thing that's going to sell people on wanting to listen to the rest because they're going to hope for more juicy bits about
This is true. I haven't
what
given you
kind of
any more juicy bits either.
you haven't, but you could.
Yeah, good.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what we want, really, is the stories that people want you to tell the kind of stories that you think people want to hear. But no one's doing anything like this. So,
Do you know, and I think people are curious because
yeah,
that's why there's like TV programs about it, eh? People are
those
curious what it's
those TV shows
like.
don't do any
So, yeah.
they don't do any justice, those TV shows, because it's drama reality. It's
No.
not true. What we did is a bit more kind of hidey high at sea.
It was. And then, do you know, my dad joked about it at our wedding actually, like when he was doing his dad's speech and stuff, my father the bride speech, and he was like, and then she went off to work on a cruise ship. She called this work. And that's what he was, and I was like, do you know what though? As much as it was 7 days a week, it was really good fun. We didn't work compared to like, the guys in the engine room or the guys that are doing our house cleaning, whatever you call it, the housekeeping, sorry, and even the one like the waiters and stuff, they worked so hard, like
Mm,
so hard.
yeah,
And the folk in the engine rooms, we're joking about how small our cabins were, and they were like six to a cabin. It was just
four,
so yeah.
four to a
Is it
cabin.
four? Is it four?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, no,
But
no
you know what I
one.
mean? They just worked so hard.
No one was in more than four to a cabin, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, we had to count ourselves lucky going
Yeah.
into those roles.
Yeah, definitely. That's
Ba-
it. Because yeah.
basically just there to facilitate a piss up at sea.
Yeah, totally.
You know,
Totally. Yeah.
we can only laugh and reminisce about them being good times because they were. It was
Yeah.
hard, and it was hard in that it was 7 days a week, and you're running here, there,
Yeah.
and just doing loads of activities, and constantly being the sort of smiley face of the ship.
Yes.
That was
Yeah,
it.
you couldn't ever just be in a good mood and not be in the mood to talk to people. Like as
Mm,
soon as you came out your door, you had to have that persona on. You had to be happy, bubbly, wanting to talk to everybody all the time.
mm.
Which, like you say, if you're unwell or whatever, it can be really, really hard.
I don't remember who said it, but I think it was probably our cruise director. And basically, because you had the show team and they would do like the West End style musical shows in the big show lounge, the Can show lounge.
Yes.
And we did the game shows and the animation and the events all around the
Hmm.
ship in the Oklahoma
Yeah.
lounge as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was what it was
At
called.
the
Yeah.
Oklahoma,
Yeah.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
think the way that our cruise director kind of explained our roles as by the perception of the guests, how they perceived us, is that
Hmm.
the show team were like the A-list Hollywood celebrities, and we were more like soap stars.
I've never heard it described as that, but yeah,
I
yeah.
never forget
They
that,
were
and I,
definitely higher up the pecking order than us for sure.
yeah, they had a bit more of an air of like
Yeah,
stardom
they
or
they
glitz
sure
in
did. They sure
yeah,
did.
and I felt quite intimidated by them first time I met them. They were like a different breed. They were all very
Yeah.
fit. They were all very fit, and they were
Very fit, very
doing.
hot, very good, dancer as an entertainer. Yeah,
I
yeah.
found at the beginning, like I couldn't even talk to them because I was like,
You're too pretty.
3 days later.
yes. Good evening. Hello, Gemma. How are you?
Oh, you've gone, darling. I can see you, but I can't hear you.
Can you not hear me?
Oh, there you go. I hear you again. Oh, that was weird.
Hey,
Yeah.
so good news or bad news first?
Oh, I don't know. Hit me with the bad news first, I suppose.
Well, so remember how long it took us to get set up last time? It was about 45 minutes past the time we said because of technical
Yeah.
issues. So the bad news from that is that for whatever reason, the video recording was corrupted, and I've gone. I've only got audio from the
Oh
last
no.
interview.
Well, that
So
seems like good news to me because I was dying of toothache last time and looked horrendous, and I'm feeling a bit more human today. So I'm gonna take that as good news, actually.
that was exactly what my thinking was as well. That was the good news I was going to lay on you, Gemma. So we did do a lot of talking and I got some lovely stories out, but I haven't had a chance to re-listen to everything to refresh my memory of everything that we talked about.
I feel I was starting to tell you something, and I can't remember what that was. Remember we ran out of time, and you were like, "Oh, don't start another story," but I
Yeah,
don't remember what that story was.
I can try to quickly
Um,
listen.
Oh no, I do remember. It was when you were talking about the lounges, and we were talking about how we were like the soap stars versus
Oh,
the
good memory.
Hollywood stars, and then I was like, I was remember I was the one chance a fortnight. I think it was like a rolling fortnight of shows, wasn't it? Because people would come on for a maximum of 2 weeks.
Yes.
So we had 2 weeks worth of stuff, didn't we? And remember, I got to do the Disney show with the show team. So that was like my one night a fortnight where I got to go on to the posh side. Do you remember
The
that?
Disney show.
Oh,
What did you
the
do?
Disney show.
Were you in the
So,
show?
yes, but I have zero talent when it comes to singing or dancing. So there was none of that happening. But me and the cruise director we were comparing it. So with the Disney show, you came on and you compared and you introduced each of the different songs and you were talking about Disney. It was actually very cool because it was talking about how Walt Disney came around to like his first Mortimer Mouse and how it changed to Mickey Mouse and all those kinds of stories. And you introduced them all. So it was so fun. So yeah, it was honestly, your head would have exploded because the costume changes were so fast. Everyone was like naked at once. So you'd like look around backstage and it's like everyone's naked. It was just so normalized that it was just like there was cocks and tits everywhere you look. It's all good fun. So yeah.
Perks of the job.
Perks of the job, absolutely. Surrounded by beautiful, talented people
But there
for
was,
one fortnight a week, or one
but
fortnight. Sorry, one day a fortnight. One
yeah, but
night.
I remember because we had to do like show watch.
What was that?
So we had to basically stand and watch the shows in shifts because they do two shows a night.
Oh
So
yes,
we had to do show
yes,
watch to basically we would be on like a rotation. So you'd watch the first
yeah,
bunch of shows, I'd watch the second, making sure that
yeah,
no one took pictures. And if we saw them, we'd go
yeah.
over and we'd confiscate their cameras. Then at the end of the show, they would empty the lounge, and as they're emptying the lounge, as they're exiting from the sides, the dancers would sometimes stand there and get pictures with the
Get
guests.
photos taken with them. Yes,
But
yeah,
on
yeah. I do
it would
remember that.
it wouldn't happen every night though, and sometimes
Mm,
after the show they would just be getting changed, and the guests would be exiting out the sides of the lounge, and
yeah.
then I remember like seeing one of the guests was like as he was exiting, he was like trying to peel back the curtain to look behind the.
Yes,
It
I
happened quite.
remember this happening to you.
It happened. I think
Yes.
it happened more than once.
I remember you telling me about that. Was there not one week or one fortnight where there was a particularly pervy guy who you just could not keep away from the curtain? Or maybe that was you I'm thinking of.
Thanks again, Gemma. But
No, there was definitely a time where there was one guy that was just awful. He would
yeah,
not
no,
keep away from the curtain.
you just open the
Yeah.
curtain and say, "Are you decent?" Oh, sorry.
Hope not. Oops.
That was my line. I don't think I
Yeah.
I don't think in all the time I worked on that ship that I ever did anything in the Can Can Lounge. Like no, like we on rainy sea days we sometimes got to host Mario Kart tournaments, but on the big projector screen
All
in
right.
the main
Okay.
lounge. But
Yeah.
apart from
Yeah.
that, I never did anything with the show team. I don't think
It was very jammy. See, I think it was literally because I was the only female Ents host
that
when we
was
were
it.
there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't so much, that it was any good. It was just, lack of
don't
options.
don't say that. Don't say that, Gemma. Yeah,
Not so much a choice, just
you
the
need
lack of
it.
options.
It just you, but you
Yeah.
did have a very good and well-rounded presenting style. I had other people that I'd worked with in the past and on other ships. but I worked with loads
Oh,
of
okay.
people, and yeah, your style is easy, man. Like it's
We were
very
easy together. I think we bounced off each other very well. I
yeah.
kind of look back on that time as you being my kind of co-host. We would be together a lot because I
Mm,
think, yeah, we naturally worked really well together. So we'd quite often be put together, I think. So
yeah.
yeah, we're good at
Well,
reading each other. But we spent tons of time together though, because we were working together, but you were also roommates with Sebi.
mm.
So quite often on occasions where we got to go off the ship, we'd often just be together. We were, so yeah.
Well,
Good
you and
times.
so who was if you were my mum, who was the father?
That's probably Sebi, I'm sorry to say.
Well, because I had I had many. Is it surrogate fathers, mothers?
Surrogates, yeah, 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 yeah,
I had many surrogates
yeah.
on the Destiny. One of the other things though was like you were talking about the embarrassing stories that you'd.
I'm a celebrity. I'm a celebrity. I'm an entertainment host. Get me out of here game. That was sometimes a bit embarrassing, wasn't it? Because did you not have to shove a coin up your bum or something and carry it over
Yes,
and put it in the bucket?
and
Yeah.
I stupidly put a picture of that up on my Facebook, and I think
Oh, that
it's
was yeah.
I, and it's probably still there, but it's not from. I think it was one of the pictures that my parents took
Nice.
because I think it has to be. It has to be
Yeah.
from them. Mum took a bunch of pictures and I made it into the final. And you know how it was? The same people would generally tend to win.
Yeah, yeah, I know. If it was during the Scottish school holidays, I was always in with a good shout because I was the only Scot. So during the school holidays in Scotland was when I won. I didn't tend to win any other time, but when there was a load of Scots on the board, I tended to win, which was always good fun. I remember Mark was always really jealous because to begin with, he never ever got picked and he always wanted to do it. And the thing, the novelty wore off really quickly. At first, you were like, oh, you're really good fun. But actually, once you'd done it once, you realize you wanted to kind of get out there as quickly as possible because it's actually not fun getting a big bucket of seawater thrown in your face. But after the first time, you kind of clicked that you could see under the blindfold, couldn't you? If you positioned the blindfold enough, you could see the person's feet. So you knew if they were in front of you, you were about to get a bucket full of water. So you were able to prepare yourself a little bit for it. So you learned quick.
Well,
But then the first,
I wish you told me that.
oh, did you never? Oh no, after the first occasion of seawater on the nose, that did click.
No, I just held my head as far down as possible
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
it didn't go up my nose. Because if you are looking or
No,
trying to see down the bridge of your nose, then you are
yeah.
gonna
Well,
get
that's
it up
true.
it. So I just kept my
That's
head
true.
down and I braced
Yeah.
every single time.
Oh no, I liked to know it was coming, but I remember watching Mark the very first time, and it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. The poor lad, just he put on such a show. He was so stunned when he got hit by that water, and yeah, it was a shame because he'd wanted to do this silly game for so long. And yeah, remember him getting hit by the bucket and it being hilarious. He absolutely hit the roof. Yeah,
Just for context, this is basically our own version on board the ship of the TV show.
yeah,
I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. We called ours I'm an entertainer, get me out of here.
yeah,
And
yeah.
basically we would go, what was it? Five of us would get selected. Normally somebody from the show team, one of the senior members of the entertainment team, one of us, sometimes a kids host would join in.
Yep, 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 yep.
And then usually we'd have the guest performer or comedian on that week as well. I
So
think
yeah, they would join in and yeah, they'd do the whole like they'd bring you out and they'd be you'd have to do your little speech introducing you and they would introduce they'd be like, this is Gemma and she likes roller coasters and Sebi the DJ and and I remember I don't know why I remember this, you're gonna think this is the weirdest thing that I remember this, but for some reason I remember that part of yours was Sam likes the cold side of the pillow. I don't know why I remember that, but that was part of yours because I remember the first time I heard it thinking, yeah, the cold side of the pillow is really good.
that's one of those things that I think a lot of people can resonate with.
Absolutely. The things that stay in your head, eh? That is
Uh,
just
I'd
bizarre.
I'd forgotten that I'd written that in my intro speech, but it's
There
still
you go.
true. It's still
There
true.
you go. And then they'd make us, what did they make us do? You had to put a coin in your bum and hold it in your bum to drop it in the bucket.
You had to like clench your bottom
Nice.
together, waddle across
Yeah.
the deck, and then drop it in a pint glass. And
Yeah.
if it
Yeah.
bounced off the edge, or if it dropped in and bounced out, it was
That didn't
that didn't
count.
count. And so
Yeah.
it was tense. It was very
And I
tense.
remember at the end we had to wrestle. If you made it to the final two, you had to wrestle for an inflatable crocodile in the pool.
Yeah.
But what else was there? There was at least
So,
three things.
do you remember? I also used to have, because every time we would go from one contestant to the next on the penny in the bum routine, you pass the same coin to the next person. So I would run back to the canteen, to the buffet, and I would sanitize the coin in the gel.
Yes, I do remember
Mm.
that.
But
Should
we
have tried
did
to spend it.
the first one. I think the first one, or the first round was the scavenger hunt. It was the first person to get a bunch of items.
Ah, yes,
Like a
that's
big,
what it was. Yeah,
a bikini or a woman's underwear
yeah,
was on the list.
yeah.
Um,
Women had to give you a bikini top, or a man, should he have one? A
yeah,
flip-flop, a pen. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
There was buckets of fun. There was a round where we had to hold
Uh,
a bucket of water
Yes,
out at 90 degrees, and they
yes,
timed it to Under Pressure by David Bowie
yes.
music. And basically,
I remember.
you'd be singing along and just trying to hold your arms out.
Tried it. And I used to get really angry actually because if Sebi was the one doing the music, he would cut it off before I'd lowered it because he knew I used to always injure my back. Because typical Scottish, I'm going to win. Didn't care how much pain I was in, I was still holding on to it, and then I'd be complaining that my back hurt. So if he'd cut the music before I'd finished. I'm like, no, I'm still holding it.
Well, you wanted the music to keep you going, keep you pumped.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Because remember, if you lowered it, the music stopped and you were out.
yeah.
He would cut the music, and I'd be like, no, I'm still holding it.
He was just
Honestly.
looking out for your welfare, Gemma.
He was indeed.
Good old
And
Sammy.
also his welfare to not have to listen to me complaining about a sore back for the rest of the week.
I just remembered the other round, which was serial killer, and we had to do the bend to the deck. We had to pick the cereal box up with our teeth.
Oh, we had to pick it up with our mouth. Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
I
but we had to
well
have
done.
we had to have our feet inside the hula hoop, and we had to
Yeah.
do that. And
We had to
obviously,
bend over and not use our hands.
yeah, exactly. So we were always at a disadvantage playing those kinds of games because we're playing against athletes,
Absolutely.
you
And
know.
bendy dancers,
Um,
exactly.
and I couldn't compete. So the only time I ever won it, I think, was the week my parents came on board. I had the
Ah,
sympathy vote. Little
you had the sympathy vote.
Sammy, Sammy boy's parents and sister are watching, guys. So no pressure, you know. Let's
Yeah.
make him feel loved, that he's doing a good job.
Absolutely. No, the teenagers loved you as well. All the teenagers would love you. They'd always vote for you too.
Well, because I did
Yeah,
most of the sports activities, I think. I
hmm
was the sports locker king.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'd host all of the basketball, all of the other kind of games that they'd all turn up to.
yeah.
So, and we didn't really have a teens club on board, did we?
No,
We
no,
just
because
had
we
the
didn't
kids
get a
club.
lot of teens. We'd get some teens, but yeah, we didn't get a lot. Understandably, by that age, they don't want to go on a cruise with their parents.
Well,
So,
I was a teen,
well,
technically.
that's it. It was relatable for them because yeah, you were one
I was
of
the
them.
oldest teenager in the club. Do you remember any of the activities that you hated doing?
I hated doing the line dancing because nobody taught me the line dances.
Oh,
So I'd be
you said
there
that. You said
trying
that.
to, yeah, trying to make it up as I went along. So I hated that. I didn't really like the quiz on the daytime one. I liked the evening one because I felt like everyone is there because they want to be there and they want to do the quiz. Whereas the daytime one, you were up on the deck doing the quiz when people were lying there trying to sunbathe and get some peace. So I used to always feel like I would really annoy everyone during the daytime one. So yeah, I didn't like that. I always felt like, if I was on holiday wanting to sit in sunbathe, I would not want to be listening to this. That's really annoying.
But so it was, yeah, I know where you're coming from with that, but it's not like we did it every minute of every day. We held one quiz a
No.
day. And obviously guests could go and sit at the front of the ship, at the back, the sides. Only on the top deck was where there was any kind of entertainment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people would come
Yeah.
and sit there if they were like, oh, okay, I want to be near the pool, I want to be near the bar. Oh, I've got to listen to a fucking
Yeah.
quiz. Oh, I know the
Yeah.
bullshit. But
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we would kind of come in, we'd do our thing when we'd get out, and it was also quite nice because I remember doing on C days. I used to do categories with one of the dancers
Oh yeah, yeah,
With
yeah.
Louisa,
Mm-hmm.
and we always had a great time. We always hosted that.
I
That
know,
be-
yeah, that was like your thing, wasn't it? And Louise's. I don't know why, but yeah, no, that was
mm,
it. And C days were the hardest in terms of you had to be entertaining them all the time because they had nowhere to go. They weren't getting off the ship anywhere. So yeah, yeah. No, do you know what else I hated actually? It was the sail away parties were
mm.
always hard work because it was new passengers. Once you've had a few days with them, you've built a relationship with them, it's so much easier. But for the sailor pay parties, none of them know you. They're looking at you like you're an arse because you're dancing around to that bloody celebrate good time, and then you're just like, yeah, you just say, I just want to go to bed and have to dance
It's
around like I'm enjoying myself when I'm not actually on holiday. And
I
nobody
know.
wants to dance with you because they don't know you.
Yeah. Well, because we obviously had to do the embark. So, like when guests arrived to the ship, we would be the first ones on the coach to welcome them.
Yes, you were good at that. You were good at that with the getting on the coach and getting everyone excited for their holiday. You were good at
So
that.
sometimes people didn't realize that we actually worked on the ship. They would be rude to you,
Yeah,
and then
I know.
when you walked onto the ship with them, they were like, "Oh, you work
Oh,
here?"
you're
I'm
coming
like,
too? You
"Yes."
don't just work on the bus.
No, I
That's my
don't.
job for
I
10
live.
minutes a day.
I welcome you to the ship on the bus.
Yes. Yep. Yep. I actually quite enjoyed those bits. But when we're hanging around the big room before we were signing them all in, they were
Mm,
always good. There was one day that you
the
and oh God,
terminal.
what was it in the terminal? What was it? So we had Mark, and then we also had Brett for a little while after the guy before Brett left. So we had a guy for a little while who Vicky was shagging, and I think he left because he got like a Cairns level job on another cruise. What was his name?
Daniel.
Do you remember him? Daniel, was that Daniel? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one day in the terminal and you and Daniel were ending yourselves over the absolute mess I'd made of my fake tan.
I think I heard the reason that he got sort of fired or whatever was because
Mm.
our wonderful leader didn't like that Daniel was getting more likes and laughs.
Oh yeah, I did not like it when Daniel, I remember he was very jealous. There was a right green-eyed monster when Daniel came along.
He was only on for a short while. The rumor was that I don't know if there's any truth to this, but supposedly he got fired for having sex with a passenger in a lifeboat.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I mean that was quite believable. He was always trying to have sex with everybody.
Did he try it on with yourself at any point, or were you always
He
spoken
did.
for?
Yeah, no, he did. I don't think he really cared that I was spoken for, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know,
He was a swinging dick back in those
he
days.
was. He was. He
Well,
absolutely was.
I don't even know what you really do, Gemma, these days. What is it you're doing now?
Oh, it's very unexciting compared to past lives. I am busier now than I ever was. I work for social work doing youth justice. So I work in a youth justice team.
Hmm.
And I'm also at uni. So I'm doing that. So my main job is working with teenagers who are coming into conflict with the law. That's basically what I do. So nowhere near as glamorous or as exciting.
But it's no, but it's still a very important piece of work that you do, Gemma. It's in the community that you live.
Do
You're
you know what? I
working.
love my job. I love my job. I do. I really, really like it. I've got a fantastic team of people around me who, all have very shared values about trying to support young people and not demonize them. And yeah, it's brilliant actually. It's really, really good. So
Hmm.
very different.
Very rewarding, I imagine.
It is. It's great to be part of their journeys, and sometimes some of the cases are not so nice, and we've got some horrible stuff that sometimes you have to take home, and
Yeah,
that side of it is tough. But the yeah, the good outweighs the bad for sure.
that's good. And
That's
what are you studying at uni?
so I'm studying that as well. So I'm doing social work through the OU. I'm hoping to, yeah, I'm not 100% sure which way I want it to go, but I'm enjoying the criminal justice side of things. So I'm doing a bit more of that. So yeah, not sure where it's going to go in the end, but yeah, between that and two young children, it feels like more work than I ever did. Such is life. So yeah, so my wee ones are 7 and 4. So
Where does the time go? We've got less than a minute left, Gemma, so I just want to say thank you so much for coming back to me, and so we can properly sign off together as well. It's only a short contract, but nonetheless one that you always enjoyed. So thank you so much for coming on.
not at all, honey. It was so lovely to catch up with you. It was really nice to catch up with you, think about these lovely memories, and yeah, very glad I did it. It was really good times. Nice to see you too.
It's about to cut out because it said less than a minute for a minute. So bye-bye.
Best of luck.
Love you, Gemma. Speak to you soon.
Love you. Take care.
Take care.
Best of luck with the podcast.
Cheers.
Bye.
So there you have it. That wraps it up for this episode of DeckTales. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've been entertained by the tales of laughter, camaraderie and the occasional stormy sea, don't forget to subscribe, rate and leave a review. Your feedback helps us to navigate the podcast waters and continue bringing you these fascinating stories. Before I sign off, if you'd like to share your own ship stories for future episodes, then I'd love to hear from you. Simply get in touch over the socials because after all, the best stories often come from our listeners. As we navigate through the waters of life, remember to enjoy the journey as much as the destination, as well as those you choose to share the adventure with. I've been your captain, Sammy Catlin. Until next time, fair winds, smooth sailing, and may your adventures be as unforgettable as those shared on DeckTales. Bon voyage.